Mozart.
The piano died. What's Mozart going to do? I see you, Fräulein, late again.
Es tut mir leid, Herr Lehrer.
That's no excuse, is it? Your mama and papa are paying lots of money so you can have lessons with their Mozart. Christine, is this going to happen again?
No, sir.
All right. My favorite wig got rained on. I'm wet because I tried to get here and I had to interrupt my billiard playing. I'm pretty good, you know. I won. I always won billiards. Have you practiced this? I'm almost finished with it.
Yes, sir.
You have.
Yes, sir.
You want to show me what you can do?
Yes, sir.
My favorite wig, too. Nine! No. What kind of notes were these?
16th, sir.
Is that how you're playing?
No, sir.
Start again, Fräulein. Okay. All right. Where did you make your mistake?
Here, sir.
Okay. Let's go back. Start here.
I'm sorry, sir.
Start here. All right. It's good order falling. Not too bad. Not too good either. But you have promise. One of my better students, Ludwig van Beethoven, was late all the time like you are. Okay? So there is promise for you. Not much, but there's some promise. Okay?
Yes, sir.
You will not be late again.
No, sir.
I ruined my best wig.
I'm very sorry, sir.
I had to put on another wig. If I had 3 heads, I could have 3 wigs. But I only have 1 head, my noodle.
Very unfortunate.
Yes. So, when I had Beethoven as a student, he was developing some type of, I don't know what it was. It was something like this, and I think eventually he wants to do something with it, but let me play just a little bit of it, if I can remember my noodle. I got so much up here in my noodle. I'm working on 2 symphonies right now, and 3 sonatas.
Really?
I don't know how much more my noodle can take. We're going to try it though. Very simple. Sound familiar? Huh? That's what he was working on. He wants to do something with that melody.
Hey, Leo, is it true that you began playing piano when you were only 3 years old, and that you made your first composition when you were only 5?
Oh, Fräulein, you're the first person that has ever asked me that. My sister and I, Nanir, were very close, very close. And Papa started her at piano when she was 7. He did not think that because she was a female that she could handle it. And at 7 years of age, when she would take her lessons from Papa, I would come up and Papa would give me a bench and I would sit on the bench and I would imitate what she was doing on the keyboard when I was 3.
How?
That's a good question because I don't know. I don't know. It just came natural. I just felt something. And then Nana and I were so close that we had a secret language. Yes. We spoke backwards. We live in a backwards world. Everything was backwards. Everything was. And nobody could understand us because we talked backwards. And then we started to play backwards. And that upset Papa. So we could still talk backwards, but we could not play backwards. Do you know, could you think you could play this backwards?
No.
Okay, well, it's fun to do because nobody knows what you're doing. Papa realized by the time I was 4 years old that I had a gift from divine providence. Nanner started training me more and more along with Papa. By the time I was 5 years old, Fräulein, I started coming up with my own compositions. I liked C major. I don't know why. This piece was composed in C major. You know, isn't that beautiful? Just the sound of it.
Yes.
And by the time I was 5.5 years old, I was playing as good as Nanner, my sister. And Papa decided to take us on the road in Salzburg. And the first place that we ended up was the Archbishop of Salzburg. He's such a booger. Do you know the Archbishop?
No.
He's terrible. And so we played for the Archbishop at Salzburg, and he liked what he heard. Nanner played, and then I played, and then they blindfolded me, and I played blindfolded, and then they placed a sheet over my hands, and I played. That's right. And before long, the Archbishop was so impressed, he taught Papa and Mama, representing the Archbishop, of course, at Salzburg, to begin to travel. And we ended up in Munich, and we ended up in Berlin. We ended up in all these cities playing. And people were amazed. Not only with my playing, but my sister, Nana, because she was just as good. And before long, Papa decided that we needed to go to Italy.
Italy?
Italy, yes. Have you ever been to Italy?
No.
Fraulein? Okay, well, you keep playing the way you are, and you probably won't go to Italy.
Yes, sir.
So we were in Italy, and we played, and then we went to France, and we went to Versailles. Have you heard of Versailles?
Perhaps.
And we went to Versailles, and we met the King of France and the Queen. And they were so impressed by our playing that the Queen allowed me to stand behind her when she was eating. Can you imagine?
Wow.
She ate like a pig. Oh, I could hardly take it. Papa said, you got to stand behind the Queen, you got to watch her eat. Once in a while, she threw some food over her shoulder at me. And I caught it. And then by the time the meal was done, I ran up and I jumped in her lap.
What?
And I said, will you marry me? She said no. Anyway, we stayed at Versailles for 2 weeks. 2 weeks at Versailles. The Hall of Mirrors. The gardens. It was like utopia. And then Papa wanted to move on. And so from France, we went to England. King George was having some difficulty with the colonies, from what I could tell. So even though he was 24 summers old, he really at first did not want us to come to play because of what was going on. And I don't know what was going over there across the ocean, but something was going on that he did not like. And we played before King George III and Queen Charlotte. And Queen Charlotte called me a little monkey. A monkey? Do I look like a little monkey?
No.
Good answer. So we stayed there at Buckingham Palace for 3 weeks. And Papa got sick. Papa got sick. And we could not perform for another month or so because of his illness. So I had to do something with my time. So I decided to write 3 symphonies.
3 symphonies?
Yeah, 3! Not 1 or 2 but 3! It was in my noodle. I couldn't help myself. And wherever I would walk, do you know how many instruments it takes for a symphony? How many?
A lot?
Yeah, 15. 15 instruments, and I knew every one of them. Every one. Later on, when I was tested in Italy at the Academia, what's that? Is that a bird singing? Yeah, I just tried.
I don't know.
Is that a nightingale? When I was at the Hall of Academia, they tested me. Do you know what they found out besides me being a little monkey?
What?
They said I have perfect pitch.
Oh.
You don't sound excited about that, but you should be. I have
Impressive.
perfect pitch. Okay? I can tell that's wrong. It's perfect pitch. Papa doesn't even have perfect pitch. So that has enabled me when I'm walking around, I have all this in my head, my noodle. Beethoven has the same thing. He had problems with his noodle. And we would go out into the woods or the field, or I'd be walking and all this stuff, all this music would just start coming in. And I didn't know how to handle it right away, but eventually I could begin to divide it, separate it, and so forth. Right now, walking in here, I've been working on several other programs. You know what happened?
What?
Do you know what happened a couple of weeks ago?
What?
There was a strange man came to my door. He had a mask.
Mask?
He gave me 200 furlongs. 200. He wants me to compose a requiem. A requiem.
Right.
I need the money. So I've got 2 other operas that I'm working on. The Marriage of Figaro. And I've got 3 piano sonatas up here in my noodle that has to get I like that. And I don't know how I'm going to work on the requiem. I'm going to set it aside and work on it later. Sometimes I just wonder if that requiem was meant for me. I don't know. We'll find out. But you know what my greatest thrill was?
What?
Come a little closer here. I don't want anybody to hear this. Okay. The servants, they're always listening. I still can get in trouble for this. Okay. Papa and I went to Rome.
Rome?
Yeah, Rome. And we were invited to the Sistine Chapel. The Sistine Chapel. And I was a little disappointed because when I looked up at the ceiling that had been painted hundreds of years before, a lot of it was darkened because of all the smoke from the candles. And I was hoping to really see vivid colors of the Sistine ceiling. And that did not happen. But you know what? Any pilgrim that travels from a distance to Rome, Pope Clement the 14th would allow them to participate in a service in the Sistine Chapel. I know. And guess what?
What?
They played, you know what? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Misery. That's right. One of the most beautiful pieces ever composed. And I went up to this one person, he was probably part of the Curia of the Roman Catholic Church, and I said, "Can you give me a copy of this?" "I want a copy! I want a copy!" He said, "We cannot do it. It's illegal. Anybody that takes this out of the Sistine Chapel will be excommunicated." Yes. Oh, I know what happened to John Huss when he was called to Rome. I know what happened to Martin Luther. He was smart enough to spill his beans at the Diet of Worms. He never ended up in Rome. But I told Papa, I said, "I'm not going to leave Italy until I copy this down." You know what I did?
What?
It was all up in my noodle.
Really?
The whole thing, 15 minutes up here. Right here.
That's amazing.
On both sides. And I went back to my room and I copied the whole thing. The whole thing. By memory. But I just did it really bad. When we went back to Salzburg, I sold it to some merchant from England. He wanted it. It was still up in my noodle, but he wanted a copy. And he went back, and you know, a couple weeks later, the Pope found out. Pope Clemens found out what I did. We were summoned to Rome.
Oh no.
I told Papa, "Do you feel like John Huss?" When he was summoned to Rome, he was burned at the stake, you know. They not only excommunicated him, they burned him at the stake. Martin Luther got off, but I'm thinking they're going to burn me at the stake. And we went to Rome. It took a while. Travel's kind of rough. And we went before the Pope. Do you know what he did?
What?
He knighted me.
What?
I'm a knight. I'm a knight. Like Sir Arthur in the Round Table.
You're a knight?
I'm a knight, and he gave me the Order of the Golden Spur.
But shouldn't you have been excommunicated?
Probably. But he liked that I passed this beautiful music on, and that's what he wanted. For all these years, the Vatican held on to that music, and now it was made public that everybody, you don't have to make a pilgrimage and get permission from Rome to hear that. I'm a knight. So from now on, call me Sir Mozart, please.
Yes, sir. Sir Mozart.
So, that was probably the most exciting thing that's ever happened to me.
Certainly.
There, next to telling Marie Antoinette that I loved her. She was just a little girl, but she didn't love me back. I think she's got good things in store for her down the road, Marie Antoinette. But anyway, I was sick and tired of Salzburg. I no longer wanted to be in Salzburg. It was boring. The people are boring. The Archbishop is a booger, and he's boring. But Papa says, let's go to Vienna. Oh, Fräulein, Vienna. That's where the music is, Vienna. Now, we heard that Joseph II was going to be inaugurated. You know Joseph II, the music king? And so Papa and I went. And I kind of scurried up and got as close as I could to him. And I said, Your Majesty, can I play for you? And he said, no. And I said, do you know who I am? And he said, I don't care. He didn't know who I was. I told him, I said, do you play billiards? He go, yes. He said, yes. I said, can I play you a game of billiards? And another name would be pool. And we played and I beat him. That's true. I beat Joseph II. I beat him. He loved it. He said, hey, Mozart, I will set up a concert for you. Now, there was a problem there at that concert. There was a man by the name of Antonio Salieri. He was the court musician. He was the big guy there in the court for Joseph II. And for some reason, he didn't like me. Fräulein, what is there not to like about me?
I have no idea.
That's right. And we became friends. We did. We became friends. Maybe history will treat that differently because he was just trying to protect his turf there in court, but we became very close friends. And he helped me with some of my operas. Do you know when I composed my first opera?
No, sir.
12 years old.
12?
It was in my noodle. It's still in my noodle. Yes. Can you imagine? I had no idea what I was doing, but it just flows. Do you know what Papa said?
What?
You're going to listen for this is very important. Music is the window of the soul. Music is the window of the soul. That's true. And no matter what language you speak, I speak 6 languages. How many languages do you speak?
1.
That's not too good either, is it? You need to work on your German. But anyways, it doesn't matter what language. You can go to Germany, you can go to Italy where they speak Italiano. You can go to France where they speak, bonjour, mademoiselle, comment allez-vous? It doesn't matter. Music speaks to everybody in the world. And that's the gift that divine providence has given you. What do you think?
I think I need to practice piano more.
I think that's a good choice. That's a good choice. So tell me again, what is the most important thing about music? Music is?
The window to the soul?
Music is the window to the soul. That's right. I have seen Beethoven, when I gave him lessons, begin to sweat. Just beads of sweat coming down as the music was coming in and in, just flowing. It flowed from his noodle all the way out to his hands. That's what I want for you. Okay? Well, we traveled the world. When we were in France for the second time, Mama died in France. It was really sad. There was a plague going through Paris at that time. Papa was devastated. He called me back to Salzburg, but I didn't want to go to Salzburg. I wanted to go to Mannheim. You know why?
No.
There was a girl there that wanted me to teach her piano by the name of Alosa.
Oh.
Yeah, I love her. I've never met her, but I love her. I saw a picture. So I went to Mannheim. And I gave her piano lessons and we fell in love. We had a problem though.
What?
Well, Mrs. Viber, that was Mama, didn't like me. Really? And she broke us up. And Papa called me back to Salzburg. He says, you can't find any job in Mannheim. You come back here to Salzburg. Well, the Archbishop had died. Yes, we have a new Archbishop who's worse than the first one, by the name of Colorado. Yeah. And he wanted to take me on as his personal musician, and wherever he would go, I would have to go with him because he paid for my wages. And I told Papa, no. No. And I'm going back to Vienna. And I went back to Vienna, where we are right now, and I've stayed in Vienna all this time. And as I came back to Vienna, the Vader family came back. You remember Alosa Vader?
Yes.
When I loved her cousin too. But I never really had a chance to give her cousin piano lessons. But I met her other sister, Constanza Weber. We fell in love immediately. And I wrote Papa a letter. I said, Papa, this is the woman I'm going to marry. And he wrote me back and says, no, you're not. He said, you're too immature. Do I look immature to you? No, not at all. I wrote Papa back and said, we are going to get married in St. Michael's Church soon, and maybe even today. And we did, today. Even before we got that letter, we were married. How exciting. She's so beautiful. She does not know music at all. And that's what's really wonderful about her. She has no sense of music. But she likes billiards. And we play pool all the time. It's so exciting. And as I'm playing, I take the cue ball. You know what the cue ball is? And I'm writing my music, and I take that ball, and I bing, 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 and then I write bing, bing. Get it? I'm counting. All this music, it's in my noodle, it's just coming out. Bing, bing, bing. Try it. Bing.
Bing, 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 bing.
Yeah. Anything in your noodle?
No.
Give it time. So, Consenza and I had 5 children. We only had one so far that lived, Xavier. And we lost before. But she's expecting another child. And we're hoping it's a boy. We're hoping. Now back to that mysterious man that came to my apartment. Yeah. I still have his money. I was afraid to spend it. He wanted me to write a requiem. You know what a requiem is?
I'm afraid not.
Thought so. For the most part, a true Renaissance requiem is for the dead. That's right. He stopped by again and he told me he wanted this requiem as soon as possible for his wife. Do you know what I really think? I think that he wants me to write this requiem. And I've heard through the birds that he is going to take credit for it. And pass it off as his own. And that's why I'm just a little leery to write the requiem. But I've started. It's up in my noodle right now. It's on this side. The Marriage of Figaro is right here. Okay? The Sonata in C major is right here. Okay? That's why I was really hoping I would have 3 heads. And I would have 3 noodles. Okay? The one head could speak backwards. The middle head could understand my symphonies. And then the other head would do my operas.
That would be very effective.
That's true. So, did I answer your questions, Farline?
Yes, sir.
I've had a very exciting life. I really have. Now, do you want to give it one more chance?
I suppose.
Are you ready?
I think so.
Okay. Are you nervous?
Always.
Okay. Let's give it a shot. Let's try this right here, speed-wise. Okay. Let's just see what happens. What was that?
A mistake, sir.
Do you know that most of my works were first copies?
Really?
There were no mistakes, there were no changes, there was nothing. Try it again. At least the first 2 measures or so. Better. Very good. Well, your mama and your papa have paid well for this little half-hour lesson. Now, next week, are you going to be on time?
Yes, sir.
For real?
Yes, sir.
And you're going to have this whole piece
Yes, sir.
by memory?
Yes, sir.
Oh, really? Okay. Very good. That's wonderful. All right. Well, you are dismissed. And it was a terrible lesson, but next week is going to be a better lesson.
Yes, sir.
Christine,
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Questions for Herr Mozart?
Can you hand me that microphone, please?
What's the magic word Mama taught us when we were little girls?
Por favor.
Okay.
Merci. Do we have any questions for Mozart? Oh, she has phones.
I can't remember. Was he married once or twice, or did he have children?
She's asking how many times you were married. How many times was Mozart
No,
married?
I heard my music.
Oh, it's in your head. It's in your noodle.
Oh. Well, right now we have 5 children. Only one lived, Xavier. But my wife is expecting another. That would make 6. Okay? I've only married once. How many times you been married?
I watch out. Miss Mozart. Oh, hi.
My favorite student next to Beethoven.
And she doesn't look nearly as frightening as Beethoven. Her kind of is crazy.
Other questions?
Oh, we got 2. I'll come here first.
Why do you laugh so much?
Because I can.
I don't think you're funny.
But you're laughing.
What do you do if you encounter somebody who's rude to you about your music?
Like the Emperor Joseph II was, when he told me there were too many notes. I said, Emperor, there are just as many notes that are needed for the performance. You know about Joseph II? Another question.
Are there any other questions for Mozart? Are there any questions for Ken? That's Mozart's alter ego.
Or for Anna, my student.
I believe that we should give Anna a round of applause.
Believe it or not, Anna is really my student. I teach at Genesis Christian Academy in Ashland, Ohio. I teach all their history classes, and she is in my Western Civ class. And when I found out that she could play the piano, I had a little chat with the fireside chat with her dad and mom, and I received the go-ahead, and I thought this would be a wonderful experience for such a young girl in this facility. So give her another round of applause.
Oh, good. I hope this one's good.
I always dread this.
If you really want a good question, I might ask why you kept hitting your mic all the time there. Making noise. Okay.
What mic?
Very, very disturbing to me. No, the question is really for Anna. Were you familiar with this particular song before you did this with Ken, or?
I had heard it, but I hadn't learned to play it before.
Okay.
So,
Wow. Excellent. You did
Her
a
piano
really nice
teacher,
job.
who is German, is right here.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think they work together on this piece. But I always liked it because this piece was composed by Mozart for a student, and it was never published until after his death. I think you're aware of that. And then it became very popular. And when we think of this piece, we right away think of Mozart. There are certain type of music you know right away. Beethoven, Mozart, Chopin. That's what you just know.
Did the real Anna become a great student then, or any history to Anna?
I cannot. Were you?
I do not know.
Not that I'm aware of. Yeah. I had, when I lived in Vienna, because of Antonio Serrieri, would blackball me many times, although we were friends. He was just protecting his church, that's all he was doing. And I had to take on students. So I had at that time, about 30 students, but they were all female.
How convenient. Oh, there's a question.
Way in the back.
What 6 languages do you speak?
Who said that?
Up in the balcony.
Mozart could speak English. Of course, his native language was German, with a little Austrian touch to German. He could speak Italian, okay? He could speak French. He knew Greek. He would have to know Greek and Latin because some of the operas and so forth were geared around, especially with Latin. That answer your question? That's true, by the way. But you have to realize, those that live in Europe are bilingual. Most of the students, even nowadays, I tell my classes this all the time, they can speak 2 or 3 languages. We here in America have trouble with English. But if she lived in Austria, she would be speaking German, she probably would know Italian, she probably would definitely know French. That's just how it is in Europe.
Did Mozart have a more traditional classroom situation for school at all?
You mean like at a university level, or?
Yes, maybe.
The school system back then was not set up like ours is today. No, to answer that would be no. He would take on private lessons like I did with Anna, but otherwise he played all over Europe, and sometimes he would have 2 or 3 concerts a night. And when he always talked about the music, it was in his noodle. That's just how he spoke. It was in his noodle. And I can only imagine how he suffered many times with all this music coming in constantly. Just like with Beethoven. And it got to the point when Beethoven could no longer hear, as you're aware of, that music still flooded in his mind, and he had to get it out. And you know, when Beethoven played the piano, toward the end, when he was totally deaf, this is how he played. He laid his head down on the keyboard so he could feel the vibrations and so forth.
So he didn't have a formal education.
Mozart?
He was like on-the-job training all the time.
His father, and probably, this is a little fuzzy, I believe the Archbishop of Salisbury instructed him on Latin and some Greek. I don't think he was proficient in Greek, but I know he was proficient in Latin. And if you're familiar with the Requiem, whoa. And I thought maybe we would have the Requiem here tonight. Do we have the Requiem? Chase, do we have the Requiem? Can you play just a little bit of it, Chase? He's another one of my students. I'm being swamped.
Thank you.
Listen to this.
Kenyan Community Choir sang this when did we sing this? 2 years ago? 3 years ago?
Who composes that today? Where does that come from? Everything today is canned. It's just gorgeous.
Yeah.
Here's my vice president or principal. I have to remember. They even got
Vice
the principal
president,
in
vice
school here.
principal, it's all the same. Oh, we've got 2 questions up in the balcony.
Way up there.
In the green.
I have 2 questions. The first one, how old were you when you stood behind the Queen? And the second one, how old were you when you got married?
How old were you when you stood behind the Queen, and how old were you when you got married?
I was 12 summers old when I stood behind the Queen at dinner, when she kept throwing food over her shoulder at me and then called me a monkey. Okay? And I was, let's see, he was died at 35. That would be
That took my
21. He died when he was 35 years old. Do I look like I'm 35? I don't know, my wife put makeup on me. I thought I did.
Sure, we've got another one up here.
This question's for Ken.
Oh,
Ken, given your profession as a history teacher, you have a wide breadth of people to portray. What drove you to study and portray Mozart? And then secondly, which of his personal characteristics do you find you most emulate?
In Mozart?
Yes, sir.
Well, I've taught history my whole life in public school, and now I'm in a private academy. And I've always enjoyed the array of bringing everything that I have learned over the years. I started teaching in 1972 at Mansfield Christian, which was a private school at that time. And when I teach, I try to bring in every aspect: culture, music, way of life, language, and so forth. Well, you have to ask her. I teach her Western Civ. But what I like about Mozart is, first of all, knowing that he was a genius. And they estimate his IQ was well over 150. It was probably more than that. I like it that he, because of his childhood, maintained that giggle that irritates people, because this lady down here is irritated, and he did irritate people. But I like it that he maintained that. Even though he was world-renowned, even though he could compose a symphony just like this, without any mistakes, I like it that he had a sense of humor. I like it that he enjoyed and loved life. Did I like some of the lifestyle later on with him? No. He was on the verge of being an alcoholic, that's true. And he couldn't save any money, that's true. But I liked his outlook on life, and I liked that he instilled in all his students, like I did Anna, that music is the window of the soul. And that is true. And I like that he would compose music in Latin. He liked Italian music. He liked the German music. He liked English music. And so I just liked his overall outlook on life. He was happy. He was happy. Are you happy?
Indeed.
Other questions? Yes.
Got one here. Hold on, we got Tony.
Was anyone else in your family musically inclined?
In Mozart's family? Mozart?
Yes.
Oh, my sister,
Mozart.
Nanira. And my father, Leopold Mozart. Are you talking about me?
How about you? How many children lived in Mozart's life?
Mozart, him and Constanza had 6 children, only 2 lived.
Were either of them musicians that we know of?
No, they tried, but no.
That's what I thought.
Other questions?
That's right here.
Do you know other musicians who have thought the whole thing in their head and done it perfectly? Is that typical, or is that just you as a Beethoven?
From what I know of Beethoven, I'm not an expert on Beethoven. I believe that he would be the closest. Chopin, very difficult. His pieces are extremely difficult. Do you play Chopin? No. Rachmaninoff? Yeah.
I played Chopin a long time ago. Now I can't.
But I would say the only one that I really would know would come close, because you have to remember, when Mozart would write an opera or a symphony, it was firsthand, no mistakes, no changes. And that really was what impressed Salieri. And the movie Amadeus is really got the whole thing wrong. Because the movie made out that Salieri hated Mozart and supposedly killed Mozart, and none of that ever happened. They became really good friends.
Makes for good drama in a movie, though.
Yeah, it does. I like the movie from the laugh. He got that laugh down perfectly. You know, the one that irritates you? I'm going to start doing that in school Monday. I'd love to irritate my students.
We've got another question here.
Where at? I can't
Right up
see.
here with me.
Hi.
Hi.
Did they find out who the masked man was that paid for the requiem?
Yeah, it wasn't my father, because at first I thought it was the ghost of my father, and that part in the movie was true. Right now, I can't think of his name. I have a senior moment. I think it starts with an S. Do you know?
It starts with an S, that's all I've got.
Sasamiria or something like that. And he did finish it, because Mozart never finished the Requiem. He finished it, but he took credit for it. And for years, everybody thought that he was the one that wrote the Requiem. Did you know that?
No.
Okay. Now the piano teacher knows that.
How did you come out of it?
I do not know. But I know somebody else took credit for the Requiem. There were two pieces that Mozart never finished, and that probably was one that we know of the most. Other questions anybody would have for? Uh-oh, I'm in trouble now.
Yes, you are.
I have a question for Anna. What was it like when you first started piano and compared to where you're at now?
Well, I guess when I first started piano, I was really excited because I'd always kind of picked around on the piano since I was little. But I guess when I first started, it was just kind of really learning to get the notes down and figure out what I was doing. But now I feel like I'm able to enjoy it a little bit more. And yeah.
She's a great student.
And for Mozart, are you going to laugh when we go to bed tonight?
Because if so, she's leaving you here now.
That's my wife.
I know.
And she never knows who she's going to sleep with. Tuesday night, she slept with Harry Truman.
I understand her pain.
Next Tuesday, she's sleeping with Tecumseh.
I think I'd stay with Harry Truman. Yeah.
But we do 28 characters, so I have no idea who I am.
It's an interesting place in our little noodles, isn't it?
Yes, and you do, how many characters?
I think I have 26.
You do 26.
And Jim's at like 24 or 5.
Yeah, the first character I ever portrayed was Johnny Appleseed at Mansfield Christian to my 7th and 8th grade class.
And Jim's first was also Johnny Appleseed.
And he's doing Johnny Appleseed, what, next month?
Maybe? Sure. I don't know. I don't know. He's out the pump later on. I don't know what that says about him.
Anybody else have any other questions?
Oh, you're never leaving. Stuck here forever. At least it's a nice place.
Okay, was piano your favorite instrument? And if so, did you have a second favorite?
As Ken?
As Mozart.
He played the violin. He sang in the choir at the cathedral. He played the harpsichord and the piano. And he probably could play just about the 15 basic instruments to write a symphony, yes. Yeah, he had a beautiful voice, believe it or not. And then, of course... She's got Oh my goodness. We're having fun tonight.
We know fun doing that.
Did you ever have any formal training?
As me? Mozart? His education basically would be through the Catholic Church and the Archbishop, where he probably learned a little Greek, but primarily his Latin and French. His papa probably was the leading, it would be like being homeschooled. So he was homeschooled outside of the Archbishop of Salzburg. And my wife and I had an opportunity to go to Salzburg, and remember when the guard left the room, I climbed over the rope and I played Mozart's piano. Then when the guard came back, I jumped back over the rope.
Did you give the laugh at the same time?
I just wanted to play Mozart's piano. I did the same thing when I touched the statue of David. We had so much fun in Europe.
He's going to get arrested.
There were guards everywhere. But any other questions anybody would have? So
Let's give another hand to
Thank
Anna
you.
And to Anna. Well, hopefully we will see you all back on April 11th for Beatrix Potter.
Beatrix
So-
Potter.
Yes, we're super excited about that, and watch out for little cartoon characters. Thank you all so much for coming this evening. We really appreciate you. Please be careful tonight. It is raining as you go out. See you next month.